Mr. Chair.
Yes.
We are live.
Okay. So. Planning and zoning for a meeting, roll call for the absent.
Here.
Alexander Cole,
Here.
Evelyn Hrpb. Here. Juan Cotton.
Here.
Zaid Shamsi Basha,
Here.
Dan Waleski,
Here.
Ed LeBlanc, Mark Hum. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, do we have any additions, deletions, or reordering?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay, so the approval of the agenda. All good. Approval of the minutes from March 1st, 2022.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have some cases tonight, and we'd like to swear in staff and applicants who are going to give testimony.
Please stand and raise your right hand if you plan to give testimony this evening.
Highway, the subject site is going to be used, to highway and reach and future land use definition, mixed use. Okay, let's see.
Well, good evening. I'm Abraham Fogel, and I'll be presenting this item. Tonight, you have before you consideration of an alcohol beverage distance waiver to allow package sales at the existing Family Dollar at 2507 North Dixie Highway. The subject site is zone mixed use Dixie Highway and has a future land use designation of mixed use east. Sorry, my slides. So tonight you will be providing a recommendation to the City Commission. A bit of background: back in 2020, Family Dollar did come forward for a conditional use to be a single destination retail use. And at that time, one of the conditions stipulated that they would need to return if they wanted to do packaged alcohol sales. Here we have a site plan of the Arbor Square Plaza with the Family Dollar location highlighted. Moving on to the analysis, it is staff's analysis that the alcohol distance waiver request is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the City of Lake Worth Beach's comprehensive plan and strategic plan. Based on the information provided in the application and the analysis section of the staff report, the proposal complies as conditioned with the criteria outlined in section 5.5. Per section 5.5A2, protected land uses are identified as churches, public or private schools, parks, and libraries. The city's Spillway Park is located within 500 feet of the subject parcel. Additionally, there are residential uses in the Sunset Ridge and College Park neighborhoods nearby. Within the existing plaza, there's also a restaurant, pizzeria that offers on-site consumption of beer. Therefore, this waiver is necessary since it's located close to that pizzeria, protected land uses that include the park and the residential neighborhoods. However, the parcel size, plaza orientation, and the location of the business is greater than 500 feet. So a lot of these uses are right within that distance. That's why they need the waiver. And as I mentioned, the only other use in the plaza that is providing alcohol is the pizzeria. Therefore, staff recommends approval subject to conditions to allow this application to move forward. And again, tonight we are looking for your recommendation to City Commission. That will be the final decision maker on this request. That concludes staff's presentation. Here we have the conditions of approval, and the applicant is joining us virtually.
And I just want to add to Abe's presentation is the reason why that while the parcel is within 500 feet, the actual location of the I think this is pulling it. You might want to pull it back. The actual location of the business itself within the plaza is greater than 500 feet from any protected land use, because the business is at the rear of the plaza. So it exceeds 500 feet to any residential or park use.
So we have the applicant. I believe he still needs to be sworn in.
Good morning or good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Mr. Valley, we can hear you. Can you please turn on your video?
I'm trying to do that, but it says the host has stopped it. There we go. Let's see. There we go.
Since you haven't been sworn in, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. If everybody's ready, I'll go ahead. I appreciate everybody's time tonight and appreciate the presentation by staff. My name is James Bally. I am with Decisions Consulting, and we handle Family Dollar's alcohol licensing nationwide. And the store before you today is, as staff mentioned, a parcel known as Arbor Square that's 6.6 acres. It was rezoned or given a conditional use back in June of 2020. Family Dollar at that point was not prepared to present the full plan that they have here today. So the condition was placed that if we do wish to have alcohol sales for off-premise consumption only, that we would have to come back in front of you for a proximity waiver. So that's what we're doing today. A little bit of information for those of you who may not be familiar with Family Dollar, and it's just questions that we get throughout the country when we present. We are like a small grocery store. I submitted information in the packet where you can see advertisements. We sell name brand products like you would find in a small grocery store. We do not sell discounted alcohol. It's the same name brand that you'll find at your big box grocery store. However, we understand that having the ability to offer alcohol along with our other products is a privilege, and we take that privilege, if granted, seriously. Just to touch, I don't want to take too much of your time, but to touch on some of the training that we do once an alcohol license is approved. We provide, and this is in addition to any state or local jurisdiction requirement. This is our internal training, but we provide training on minimum age requirements, how to ensure that you know the person attempting to purchase the alcohol is of legal age. We provide training on how to determine whether or not an ID may be fake. And to assist in that process, we use handheld scanners to ensure that it's a valid ID. We also provide training to the associate on how to determine whether or not somebody appears to be intoxicated and refuse to allow them to purchase the alcohol. However, to be frank, we don't have that big of a problem with that. I can't recall any instance where we had a problem with that. And the reason is we're a family-oriented store, and we close long before the hours of legal sale have expired, and we don't cater to those kind of customers. So in sum, what we want to do is basically offer a safe, family-friendly option for those families wishing to purchase alcohol for responsible consumption at home. And we utilize that business plan in such a manner that when we have completed the training that I just described, we have a zero tolerance for violations. It's just not tolerated. If you don't follow the training and you violate the law, then you're terminated. And because of that, I wanted to give you a stat. Our national violation rate is 0.004%. We want to get it down to zero, but we feel that that is a commendable rate. We're committed to doing that. So in conclusion, we appreciate the chance to do business in the city like Worth Beach, and would appreciate approval of this proximity waiver to allow us to offer that product. And one other thing, I did do as staff mentioned, the size of the parcel being 6.6 acres. If you go door to door on any of the protected uses, they are in fact exceeding the 500 foot limit. I think it was 940 to the park, 589 to the residents. And as staff also noted, there's no other off-premise consumption alcohol in Anchor Square. So we would ask for your approval, and I'm here to answer any questions that we can at the appropriate time. Thank you.
And I think in restaurants, there is a difference between the licenses of wine and heavy alcohol. Is what you're selling also going to heavy alcohol, or is it limited to wine and beer?
Just wine and beer is, and I should have said that earlier, and I apologize. Just wine and beer, something you would consume with your meal at home.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Question for the city, is this variance pertaining to alcohol sales attached to the business or the property?
It's attached to the business.
Understood.
There's no other questions. I make a motion.
No more questions for me?
I move to recommend approval of PTD project number 22-006-00001 of the alcohol distance waiver for the sale of packaged beer and wine based on the data and analysis of the staff report and the testimony of the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving along, item B. PDD project 23-005-0004, a blanket conditional use required for multiple conditional uses as provided in OPR section 23.3-6 for mindful workspace. an existing industrial development at 1897 Avenue North. The property is on industrial park, Department of Commerce, POC, and has industrial high future land use. I thought we did that as made. I believe this came through in some other form at some point. At some part of it. Or we just know,
No, this is new.
you know,
Mhm.
there was another school.
No, this is a blanket conditional use.
I think that was one of their confusions,
Yeah.
yeah.
So staff, would you have,
Sure. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair. For the record, Scott Rodriguez with the Planning and Zoning Division. The item before you is Mindful Workspaces request for consideration of a blanket conditional use permit for 1819 7th Avenue North. The site is comprised of 4 industrial buildings with combined square footage of 24,570. The blanket conditional use approval would allow tenant requesting a use that is captured within this application to go straight to business license. The applicant is requesting several low to medium intensity uses less than 7,500 square feet to be located within the industrial buildings. Uses greater than 7,500 square feet that have adverse impacts or are not compatible in small scale bays may require separate review by PZ&B. The applicant has submitted the request to address code compliance issues related to use approvals and to streamline the business license process for tenant occupancy. The subject site is located in the southwest corner of 7th Avenue North and Barnett Lane and within the Industrial Park of Commerce zoning district. Here are the existing conditions of the site. You can see the number of buildings located on site. And the site plan that the applicant did provide, again, is identifying the site. The project is consistent with the comprehensive plan, strategic plan, the city's LDRs as conditioned, conditional use standards and supplemental regulations. Therefore, staff is recommending approval with conditions. And that concludes my presentation.
Do you guys have any questions about the general nature of blanket conditional uses? I mean, I know we've done them before, so.
yeah, I see that it's geared a little more to like personal items at the end. I don't understand quite why minor electric speed boats, so boats and vehicles would be allowed for repair. Is that correct? No, it's excluded, right?
Yes.
There is other repair and maintenance, like for what machinery and things like that, but
Appliances,
so no car contract with the oil, boat contract.
Right. Any vehicular repair items would have to go
I volume like.
on a separate application. Yeah.
But they could eventually go here, so to say. No.
No, they'd have to go on their own.
No question.
regarding the.
In terms of where it says manufacturing processing, what kind of processing are they expecting to do? Yeah,
Go ahead, Scott.
Just anything, it's really lumped into the manufacturing processing side of numerous types that can go in there. It really depends on the size because the bays are generally pretty small. That's why the applicants requesting low and medium intensity and anything under 7,500 square feet.
If you fabricate, you weld something, you assemble something, you do anything like that in any way, that's in our manufacturing, processing and fabrication use. It's all one. And all the uses, as Scott said, each business cannot exceed 7,500 square feet. So if a business exceeds 7,500 square feet in the bays, then that individual business will have to come back for individual conditional use. And we typically do these because otherwise we have 24,000 square feet. And we have to bring back each individual tenant every time the tenant swaps out.
okay. But I just remembered, it's not that they have a tenant particularly right now, it's that they want to leave it open for the future.
Yes.
And this makes it easier for staff because you see the work that goes into our staff reports. So if we have, every time they swap out a tenant, anywhere in the we're trying, and there's a lot of turnover in and so we're trying to reduce our workload and we're trying to be a little more business friendly because otherwise, every time somebody re-rents to somebody new, it's just this cyclical process and it's expensive and it takes a long time and it's a high staff burden.
And we're looking at a 3 to 4 month process for an AUP or CUP versus a business license, which could be a 2 to 3 week process.
Scott, could you hit the conditions, including the water condition, that business license, the pollution? So you can, oh yeah, there it is. You can see up there is the condition of approval from utilities. This is the city engineer.
Mhm.
And in the business, prior to the business license, issuance of a business license, we need to get an email from the city engineer to make sure that any required pollution prevention or other utility requirements are provided. In addition, we'll require the Palm Beach County affidavit related to well fields.
I believe the applicant owner is here. If the board has any questions.
And I would think this is a pretty straightforward in terms of uses. It's an industrial property being used for industrial uses. And so the reason we do this is, they don't have to, as a manager of a property, they've got shared parking, they've got shared trash. So it's all one shared approval. And the management company will manage to make sure everybody's, doing the right thing in there. If you had an automotive company or a boat company, they would be taking up additional parking spaces, which is most likely why you didn't include it in one of these uses, because they're, building in parking requirements, all of that. And so this 100% makes sense to me. And
That was really what makes a lot of sense with the staff. I do believe that there was someone in the audience who did have a question. Yeah, my name to come up. Yes, I would. Your name is Signs.
so I think you came in after the swearing in.
So
Yeah.
are you,
Yeah.
so public comment, is that what, you're just doing it?
Well, on this,
You're not part of the applicant process.
well, no, not his side, but I have property there and I have issues.
You need to be sworn in.
You sworn in?
So just. You swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so say yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
My name is Doug Aiken. I know the construction, we have process, we have a facility at 500 Rinker Way. Okay. Which you use different street names down there, but this Rinker Way is a private road. It adjoins this property. Where they use our street for parking. There's nobody that comes down and polices anything. I think it's 7th Avenue. In front of this property. See, they're parking, they come in on 7th Avenue as their entrance. Right beside Rinker Way. It's on the right-hand side of the picture, it just doesn't say 7th Avenue on it. Yes. They park on the sidewalks. On that street. Nobody does anything. We have tractor trailers trying to come in and make that turn every day. I don't believe them buildings were all built for storage. Strictly storage. Never to be any operations done in them buildings. I don't believe there's a restroom in any of them. There's not water in them. I don't know how you run a business and what kind of people are going to be coming in and out. If they do anything in there, it would be nice if Rinker Way got a fence 6 foot high all the way the length of their property. So they're not going to park on our side and go over there. Whatever they do, they go in their own driveway and do their own business. I have no problem with whatever they want to do there, but they need to be able to do it on their own property. That's, you know, just trying to be a good neighbor. I wouldn't treat them any different, and I think it'd be best for the city to look at this carefully. Thank you.
Well, any other comments?
Absolutely.
John
John
Flanagan.
Flanagan. Yes, I was. Okay. John Flanagan. I own 401 and 402 Ricker Way, just down the road from Doug. Same situation. I deal with this every day. I have tenants on both sides. Just as Doug is saying, where you see the red line goes, there's cars constantly coming across there, parking. If you can, let me walk up this. You see on this side down here, you see the concrete silo? Okay, follow, keep going, see all that parking right there, the drinkers? Yep, okay, so Rinker right now is shut down. They're not gone, they're just not using that plant currently. That's a constant spot of vehicles being parked for trailers. You've got overnight parking there, you've got homeless there, you've got all kinds of stuff going on. Part of the problem is access from my workspace. Part of the access problem is from the other front ones. If this is gonna go through, I agree with Doug, that whole street you see. And if you look this up, because I've fought with the city multiple times about having you guys come down and do maintenance on it, and every time it comes up, everyone says, it's a private drive, it's not our problem. Okay, well, here we are, it's a private drive, needs to be controlled.
So Rinker Way is the plan.
Rinker Way is a private drive, if you look up the deeds of these properties, Rinker owns from the edge of their property, which is the concrete silos on the far end, all the way across, nope, by the way. Thank you. Right there, so red line. They go from there, all the way to the end, that's theirs. You get farther down that way. It's
I
Doug's.
think part of that was done for mobility to get the trucks around.
Agreed.
The private.
Agreed, but the problem we run into now. My workspaces and all that area is using all of our property like it's theirs. All right, I've had multiple tenant complaints about this. I've called the cops multiple times. I'm there every day. I run a business out there as well, so I see this. So if they're gonna do this, then the same thing Doug said,
Sir,
I have a problem
where's
doing
your
it.
business? Where's your business?
401 Ricker Way.
Okay, so you're down.
I have to drive through this every single day to get to my business and to my bed. So they're gonna do this, like I said, so it's just like Doug said, I don't have a problem, but somebody's gonna have to control this. And you've got another problem on 7th Avenue with traffic, major. All along that side right there, you see where the trees line this side of the road running this way?
Right.
Yeah, right there. There's no parking, no parking, no parking, all down the side of that. There's a bunch of mechanic space across that road.
And your building exactly where would it be? Which one? Where the silo is there?
So you you can't see mine, mine's all the way down.
Okay, I see. So you actually, would you have to go through Rinker Way to get to your place? So what is the agreement with Rinker Way legally if it's a private road?
I own- So I own 401 and 402. 401 owns to the middle, from property line to property line. 402 owns from to the middle, property line, property line.
It's in
So
our
let's
deed.
say if Rinker
In our
Way
deeds.
slows down, would you say that your business would be closed down?
Yeah,
It's in our deeds.
it's
We have
in our
No,
deed.
that's what I'm getting.
It's legal.
No, no,
I'd like to know, yeah, at some point in your deed, it would have a.
ingress and egress.
For me.
Correct. And then you have ABC Supply at the very end of bars, who has a right of way to get through Doug's, Rinker, mine to get to their property.
Unfortunately, and I've been in some of these situations before, I'm an architect, I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you this much, you have a private situation. And it's tough because the city kind of has their hands a little bit limited in the sense that. You've given each other rights, right? And some of this has to be held up by yourselves and ring. And that's, it's training on a tough, you know.
It's our neighbors that want control. We want you to control the people
Yeah,
around
I
us.
don't have a problem with them doing this. Put a fence up.
Yeah.
So, because right now the problem you have is they drive, you see where that L shape is right there? They drive straight across out on there and they're parking all up and down the street.
They've
So,
removed our rocks from stopping.
now, Blue Doug's put some big cap rock and stuff in the way to keep this from happening. They moved them.
Do you tow vehicles from there? It's private property. Do you have permission to render to?
You call the cops and the cops show up and it's like, well, we'll do what we can do. And then we have to go through this whole rigmarole to get them
I'm not
going.
sure. I'm not sure that you need, if it's on a private. If it's on private property. And you have no parking and tow signs, I think that if you talk to Rinker, I guess there's probably with regards to reason if the property owner is Rinker of that road.
Yeah.
And so,
Then that record around it, yeah.
yeah, so if they were to give you permission, you put the signs up. I believe you would just call.
We can do that, we can put the signs up, but it's just like Seventh Avenue. The signs are up, what does the city do? Nothing, they park right on top of the sidewalk. That's what it-
Yeah.
I just want to say, if it's private property, you have to call a tow company to remove vehicles from your private property. It is illegal for the sheriff's office to do that. So if you want to tow people, that's something that you can work out and contact an attorney. I think we've made our public comment and you talked about a fence, right? As an idea.
That's what we like.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And who are you?
No, I
I'm
think
Erin. I'm the assistant director for planning, zoning, and sport.
Thanks.
that comments, sir?
Yeah.
If you could come up.
Swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so say yes. Thank you.
My name is Patrick Carney, managing partner of Mindful Management, who manages this asset on behalf of a individual ownership group. I can say in terms of any of the issues that have come about at this property, I don't want to point the finger at anybody else, but the property immediately contiguous to us, which I guess would be on the north side, just traded about 2 weeks ago. The former owner held that asset for about 3 years. We tried, on several occasions to come up with a solution and work with them to figure out, how we could police that parking issue. We tried to see if we could get a fence put in, a gate where we gave tenants a fob where they could come in and out. That sort of thing. We could split the cost with them. We're never successful with that. It just traded literally a matter of weeks ago, and we reached out to the new owners about doing that exact thing. And I'm hoping we'll have more success. I can say this, that every square inch of our property is under surveillance. And that in terms of the parking issues there, we'd be happy to put a fence in. That would be our preference as well, because it'll, alleviate management intensity for us by not having to chase people around parking. I can say this, that I'm certain that some of our tenants have parked over there at one point or another. I'm not saying we're completely innocent, but I would say 90+% of the issues are coming from up front. They were just kind of a ragtag owner. They didn't put any money in the property, didn't manage it.
I
That
get
sort of
it,
thing.
and I think that, at the point, it's even worse, because now we've got multiple private properties, right? And the city really, there are business partnerships with Palm Beach County that you put up no trespass sign, and the police will come and remove people. These are the things you need to do, but you've got, the city's not in business of dealing with people's private roads.
Right.
And that's really what is going on. So you might reach out to Palm Beach County Sheriff, put up your own, get a fence permit, deal with these issues, because we're happy to help in those days, but when it becomes private, it's something that is within the property owner, that within your right to remove those people per statute we have here. So I would tell you guys to get together and try to really resolve the problem amongst yourself, because anything that comes back on the street on Seventh Avenue, right on Seventh Avenue, there's issues with the municipality itself, we take care of it, but unfortunately, we're dealing with several private roads and private properties.
Understood. And if you look at that list of permitted uses that we're going for, the lion's share of those are all lower impact. You're talking about storage. We're on a parallel path. We want to get rid of all the junk cars. It just invites tenants to think it's okay to pay you whenever they want and do whatever they want.
It's like saying I have, five people dump their car in my backyard.
Right.
I do.
Yeah, paying on the 25th, that's okay.
That's-
So we're heading in the same direction. We're trying to get it cleaned up, and this is part of that process.
Oh. I heard more. Anybody else?
And Mr. Chairman, if the board was interested in a condition for a fence along that property line, staff would be happy to work with the property owner after the fact at a permit.
Be careful, because if you go back to the map, There's that property he was just talking about, the only way they have it now, it seems like it's on that road as well.
But if you just do a fence on that.
Right, well, I understand, but then who gets the lion's share of it? It's up to you guys to figure out.
Well, it would be it's their property, so if this is tied to the conditional use, then it would be on the it would be the cost of the subject property owner, so. Unless you all have something specific you wanted, like a limited length or something, but that's something we'd be happy to work with them on the back end on.
I understand the desire for a fence. But you've got a situation where Rinker has a private road and, this, applicant also has a private road. And both private roads are serving multiple different tenants, and trying to say that this owner of a private road has a fence between the two roads, like, it could be on Rinker just as easily and put in a fence and protect their property. I think you guys, I understand the, concern if you've been calling the sheriffs and they're not towing people on 7th Avenue. That's something that I would come in and raise to the commission. If you're calling them and there's people illegally parked on a public right of way, and the sheriff's department is not doing what they're supposed to do, then I would definitely be in there talking to the commission. But on private property, it's owned by Rinker. I don't believe you need to be calling the sheriffs. I think if you have signs up there and somebody parks there illegally, you call the tow company, and that tow company is going to get a fee, and they're going to be there within 15-20 minutes to hook up and take those cars away. And I think you'll find that out.
I think if the property was left as storage as it was originally built for,
It doesn't matter what it was originally built for.
nobody would have a problem.
Sir, I can't argue with you here. I'm telling you what my opinion is. I would move forward without requiring that condition. I think if the property owner is willing to put that in, but I don't think conditioning them to do that, it's something that I would necessarily support.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm in alignment with Dan's position as well.
Then, if there are no other comments, I would move to approve, with conditions, the request for PDD project number 23-005-00004, blanket conditional use permit based on the competent and substantial evidence provided in the staff report and in the testimony in the public hearing.
There's a second,
I will second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Good luck. So, item C, PDD project on the 22-01. Major site plan and conditional use request for 31,900 square foot, multiple use educational facility and education foundation. Meeting training rooms, indoor storage uses, $7,500 feet. By home yard section, 1-21-159-1511-15. Property is zoned public and has a public regional land use. That's how we do this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Scott Rodriguez with Planning and Zoning. The item before you is the Education Foundation's request. Application for a major site plan and conditional use permit request for the construction of a 31,962 square foot educational facility that will include additional site improvements. Subject site is located west of Barton Road and north of 16th Avenue South and is within the public zoning district. Here are the existing conditions. This is one aerial. I included an aerial with the number of parcels. Then staff has conditioned this to be unified as part of the approval. The surrounding properties does include a mix of compatible uses in zoning districts. There are single family residential homes and zoning districts to the west and north of the subject site that requires specific landscape screening that I will mention in a few minutes. Here are the specific land uses and zoning designations and future land use that are surrounding the site. This is the proposed site plan for the facility with additional site improvements and is found in compliance with the land development regulations. The project is providing 108 parking spaces, which exceed the required amount of 83 based on a 25% deduction for the LDRs for multiple uses. Just a note, the north is going to be to the left of the screen. This is the landscape plan that is being proposed, that is proposing perimeter, interior, and right-of-way landscaping. The vegetation will provide screening from surrounding properties. Staff is proposing conditions to address some revisions to the landscape plan that affect the northern and western perimeters adjacent to single-family residential, as mentioned previously. Updated tree survey and disposition plan and any potential changes related to the native community evaluation. Again, the north is to the left. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. North is to the right. Thank you. Anyway, this is the renderings, architectural renderings that does include the landscaping. Here are the architectural elevations. And you'll notice that this draft does include murals, and murals are going to be a separate application that staff did condition. That'll be completed at a later time. Here are the additional elevations of the building. So the project is consistent with the comprehensive plan, strategic plan, and the city's LDRs as conditioned. Staff is recommending approval with conditions. And that concludes my presentation.
Anyone from the ownership or the still here would like to say something? Present myself for the record. My name is Jorge Fuentes with Solomon Associates Architects for the project.
My name is Teresa Dabrowski, Chief Engagement Officer at the Education Foundation of Palm Beach County.
Good evening, my name is James Moore. I'm the board chair for the foundation.
And my name is James Gavrillis. I'm the president and CEO of the Education Foundation of Palm Beach County. What I want to do is just talk you through a couple of these slides for about 2 minutes, just to show you what we're going to do with this building and why we think it's essential. And let me begin by thanking you for your public service. God bless you for sitting through these and doing what you do. We at the Education Foundation are excited to become your new neighbor and to bring the Center for Education Innovation right here to Lake Worth Beach. We believe this building will become the Center for Innovation and Academic Development right here in Palm Beach County. We are the foundation arm of the Palm Beach County School District. We are a staff of 10. We have 2 basic operations. If we could go to the next slide. In addition to our grant making side of the house, which we award almost $2 million in grants to Palm Beach County public school teachers, schools for creative, innovative STEM, literacy, college, and career readiness programs, our signature program thus necessitates this building. It's known as Red Apple Supply. The average teacher in America today spends $587 per year out of their own pocket buying school supplies. Red Apple Supplies was born 7 years ago by one of our board members, Meredith Trim. We started out serving 8 schools. Just this week, we onboarded our 84th school. There are 182 schools in the district, and our goal is to serve all of them. No teacher should ever have to dip into their own pocket to buy school supplies. Last year, serving 79 schools, we did distribute $1.4 million in school supplies. Thus, as we have grown out of our current space, the school district has made this space on Barton Road available to us. They wanted to deed it to us. What we eventually worked out was a 75-year lease at a cost of $1 per year. So the Education Foundation will have use of this land for $1 a year for the next 75 years. And we're going to put this facility. Jorge Fuentes, in addition to being the architect from Song & Associates, is also a member of our board of directors. And you've also met Jim Moore, our board chairman, and Teresa, our chief engagement officer. We'll take any questions if you have. A little bit about the site. Of the 32,000 square feet, roughly 20,000 square feet will be the warehouse that will provide the storage space for the school supplies, as well as our Red Apple Supply showroom. When the school becomes a Red Apple Supply shopper, their teachers get to come twice a year. And we give them whatever they need. Thus, as I said, last year passing out almost $1.4 million in school supplies. If we could go to the next slide. In addition to the Red Apple Supply, you see our basic vision where we talk about the Education Innovation Hub. Our grant program, our administrative offices will all be housed on this facility. We will be doing some teacher training, and a couple times a year, we'll be having special events where we will be honoring teachers, awarding grants, and some of our distinguished alumni. Jorge has designed a multi-purpose room, two of them that combine and then link to the Red Apple Supply showroom where we could have special events to honor the various teachers. Next slide, please. When you look at the impact, in addition to the school supplies that we distribute from there, something Teresa brought to us a couple of years ago was a backpack program. At the start of the school year, we provide backpacks fully stocked for students in Title I schools. And by the way, Red Apple Supply is serving every school within the city and this municipality. They are all participating and are recipients of Red Apple Supply projects. Our backpack program went from about 1,000, 2,000 backpacks in the first year to 7,500 last year. We thought, good grief, we can't get any larger. This year, ladies and gentlemen, we distributed 17,400 backpacks fully stocked to 27 elementary schools. We are serving almost 15% of the school district just in terms of August backpacks to get the young people started. All of this would be headquartered and run out of this new facility. So Lake Worth Beach would become really the center for academic innovation and growth throughout the Palm Beach County School District. We're thrilled to partner with the city and we look forward to moving forward on the project. I'll pause there and take any questions you might have, sir.
You had mentioned teacher training. What exactly does that imply?
Ma'am?
What exactly does that imply?
We do some professional development along the way. For example, one of our programs on the grant side of the house, we provide something called Go Teach Grants. We actually teach the teachers how to write a grant. So we do some professional development on that. Some of the programs that we do, for example, if we're doing a literacy program, STEM education, that might be a better illustration. STEM is hot these days. So we would be doing some teacher training, how to use STEM supplies, which conveniently they would get at Red Apple Supply. In the Red Apple Supply showroom, we have STEM kits. And then we would have special workshops for teachers, just teaching them how to use these and teach the appropriate STEM techniques to their young people.
No question for me. I think it's lovely. Thank you for your potential investment in our town here. Unless anybody has any additional questions, I am happy to go ahead and put forward a motion.
Second. Anyone from the public would like to add anything? Okay, well.
All right, well then I move to approve with condition of PZB project 22-01. Excuse me, 014000032 for a major site plan and conditional use permit request to construct a plus or minus 31,962 square foot education facility with the additional site improvements upon the competent and substantial evidence provided in the staff report and in the testimony at the public hearing. May I please have a second?
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna. Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lake Worth Beach. We look forward to the groundbreaking. I would tell you the community support has been phenomenal. We set out to raise $15 million. We launched a campaign in November, thanks to the young lady to my right. We've already raised over $12.5 million. This thing is ready to go, and we're very excited to become your new partner and neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, any planning issues that we have? I know the planning issues.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So, just to keep you, all on notice is the legislature has been quite busy in its spring session. And we have been monitoring all the bills that have been signed. One of them is, of course, signed by the governor, is the Senate Bill 201, which is the Live Local Act. We are going to be discussing that with the City Commission at the Affordable Housing Workshop on the 17th of this month. And we are talking internally now about what it means and how it applies within the city. But what this could mean is basically administrative approval of some projects that would have previously come to either this board or before the City Commission For projects that have meet a 40% affordable requirement. And affordability is defined under the statute, which could have a range of 30% of median county income up to 120% of median. So, but 40% of the project would have to be those income restricted units, and those units would need to be restricted for 30 years. So this is a state preemption, and it would not allow for public hearing for the items that met the qualifications identified in the bill.
But it just go right to.
It would go right to our internal staff review. And we would do the same level of review on our smaller projects that we do for you. We have templates, or we would have a staff report. It is would not be permitted under Florida law to go before a public hearing. We're still looking at it of what that means. We're not, obviously, we do not believe that the additional bonuses and things under the plan development would apply because of some of the wording in the statute. So it would just be basically projects that would be allowed by right, or with the first tier of the sustainable bonus is what we're thinking right now would apply. So it's not going to be a building like a Bohemian. It would be a much smaller building. So but we're working through that. We should have a full presentation to the city commission. So if you guys want to stay tuned. I also want to mention the other workshop coming up to pay attention to, which will be on April 13th, is the artificial turf and yard landscaping requirements. So the backup is already posted for that agenda, I believe. So if you have an interest in that area, you can see. Just so you are aware, as part of the backup is the original artificial turf ordinance that we wrote at the request of the city commission, because they wanted to see what an artificial turf ordinance might look like. I believe it was in 2020, I think, or 2021. I think it was 2020. So that ordinance was not approved at the time, but that has been added to the backup. And basically it treated artificial turf as a semi-permeable surface, not a landscaping material. So it was basically akin to a, it was in the draft ordinance, it was akin to like a permeable asphalt is the way it was treated. So, so that backup on the artificial turf and that discussion and that that original draft ordinance was included for backup, as well as a summary of the impacts of rock yards and other things.
In the last few years, artificial have become huge, like leaps and bounds in terms of the material, quality, the ability of it. I mean, I went to seminars on where the amount of recycled goods that are going into, and so it's come a long way in the last 4 or 5 last decade. So
it's really up to the city commission and the public of what they're interested in and what they would want to. But I know in the original ordinance that we had drafted, we treated it as basically like in a semi-permeable asphalt, and it wouldn't need to meet the semi-permeable requirements for the permeable impermeable requirements for yards. So the same thing, like when you see that little in your table, you see, oh, the maximum impermeable surface, we basically treated it as like a 50% credit. Because it does not drain the same way as soil does, you know, and it does not, it's not landscaping. It's plastic. So we had looked at it for looking for where applications might be potentially appropriate within the city, so that you can look at that ordinance and see if it was allowed, what we thought maybe where it could be allowed. And then there's a discussion on the pros and cons from the presentation from that previous city commission. And so we'll see where the city commission direction ends up. Either way, it doesn't matter to us. We'll enforce the code however we're directed to enforce it. So isn't that enough?
Make sure we public comment. Is there anyone in the audience? Public comment. Okay.
I have a public.
Come on up.
Well, it's not very long, so I'll just say right here. This is from a gentleman, I believe it's, Gene Felix or Felix Gene from 709 South Pine Street, Lake Worth. Only wanted to comment on a topic, and I'm not sure what was intended, but it just says garage job. And then there were no actual comments, so I did want it to become part of the record.
She did reach out to this person and to let them know that their comment didn't come through properly, but we were not able, but we technically have to read it, and it's a garage job.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I'm a homeowner in 1614.
You'll need to be sworn in, sir.
Oh, no, not for public comment.
Yeah.
No, it's not for public comment.
Yeah, my name is Fritz Terminal. I'm a homeowner in a 1614 Tropical Drive. I think the building you guys talking about is right behind my house, it's straight. But since I moved there, I bought a house in 1990. It used to be a church, this building, if I remember. There is those Australian pine planted alongside, used to be a hedge. Right now, they're huge tree about 100 feet tall. I have a swimming pool right back there, and every time I cannot even use that swimming pool, and those trees is disaster. There's anything, because sometimes I call the city, they say they're gonna do something, nobody ever do nothing to it. There's anything gonna do, happen to do with these trees? Or they're gonna take them, because I understand that they're supposed to be invasive trees, Australian pine, they're supposed not to be in Polish County. So what's gonna happen to these trees?
So, sir, this is really, it's not the right board. They're an advisory board. And so if you have a site, like you want to do a new development, they approve it or don't approve it. They're volunteers too. They don't work for the city. So I'll talk with you afterwards and I'll give you the email to Public Works, okay? Because if it's on city property, then Public Works would help you.
But I'm not gonna do anything on it. What I'm saying about that these trees is devastating to my property. They constantly keep my swimming pool loaded with trash every day. There used to be a hedge, but the property belonged to the city of Hrpb Beach.
She's saying the city, if you
They have it on
contact
the
Lake
park.
Worth Beach, she'll give you the number and they'll take care of the trees on city property.
Well, it'll be that you have to talk to Public Works. That's not, we're planning and zoning, we don't do that, and they're citizens, just like you. So they can't direct the city to do anything. They make recommendations on projects to the city commission.
You'll get a phone number and someone to contact. She'll be happy to do it. Thank you very much.
Share your information and we'll get your phone number in.
Okay. Any department reports?
No.
No?
Quick comment, made presentation to the commission. The mayor said it was thorough. So nice, clean, simple, presented the projects that we've been working on over the last however many months with the results of such projects. And that was pretty much it. No back and forth, no questions, no conversation. Quick update from commission update.
Thank you. All right, we are